right, hello and welcome to another Expert Inside interview. My name is John Golden from SalesPOP, online sales magazine, and Coavera, formerly Pipeliner CRM, joining you as usual from a sunny, cloudy San Diego, actually. And today I'm delighted to be joined by Dustin Kenyon, who is just outside Salt Lake City in the great state of Utah. How you doing, Dustin?
Doing great, John. Good morning. Good morning.
Yeah. And Dustin is Motivosity.com. Did I get that right?
That's it.
Perfect. And what we want to talk about today is motivation. It's in human leadership in an AI driven world. I mean, your bio said, and I love this, is like you're a performance driven dreamer who thrives on hitting goals and building meaningful relationships. So in this AI world that can now track everything, goal setting, even coaching, conversations, etc. What does human leadership look like in an AI world?
Yeah, great question. And you're right. We won't have time today for the breadth of this discussion, but
Mhm.
yeah, it comes down to me for just a couple of things, right? And you can see in the background, I'm very tilted towards music, and so
Yep.
there's a lot of application in what we're going to talk about to my former life as a performer, right? Just
Mm.
as my guitar of choice or my choice into my amplifier or my pedals or however it is that I want to augment the level of my individual performance, very
Mhm.
similar to humans and AI. It really, there's an amazing crossroads that's born out of passion and intentionality, right?
Right.
And so what we're seeing and the way that we're trying to author this incredible transformation that's taking over the world and over businesses is really to find the way that allows us to put the human in the epicenter of
Mhm.
authoring their journey that, in my opinion, has really two components. First, it is the learner's journey. I don't think any human will be successful to the extent that they want to be in whatever their professional life is. Now, we sit in tech. I know
Sure.
there's other industries that will have varying degrees. But they won't really be on the other side of success unless they get through the learner's journey of what
Mhm.
this means for them, their role, and where it is that they're trying to get within their career. It's
Right.
it's no longer negotiable. You are gonna have to figure out how to put on the Iron Man suit,
Mm, yeah,
right?
no, 100%, 100%, and you outlined that human connection being the greatest employee need, and yet a lot of this is disappearing behind tools and tools and tools and AI tools and all of that. Is like, how do you balance that? Because people are now sort of going, well, yeah, but AI says this, and then but my manager says that, and like they're because it's a different type of feedback.
It is. It's one of those things where as adults, sometimes we forget the easiest tools and tactics were actually born from childhood.
Hmm.
When you think about what drives human connection in the formative years, especially early, primary schooling, was there time to be gathered together on the floor to read? Was there time sufficient to eat lunch together? And was there time to go out and play?
Hmm.
Those interaction moments or event types is really where, as leaders, we have to be intentional with, are we doing lunch and learns?
Hmm.
What did you build in your AI sandbox? How did you leverage whatever your flavor of AI use case is?
Hmm.
How are you building the Iron Man suit? Like, did you build a glove today that does something that's helpful that you've never had that horsepower before? And
Hmm.
how do you bring people together to inspire and to drive energy, that it is through the attempt and through the trying or the experiential learning that we actually win the confidence and we let go of the fear. There's so much fear
Hmm.
about, like, oh, every investor, every company is just racing to the spreadsheet. Like,
Yeah.
how does AI get us the dollars and cents ROI? And we already know, because we've gone through enough technology revolutions, the tech doesn't outpace the innovation born through the human spirit, and
Hmm.
right. And so it's an interesting journey. We're by no means doing it perfectly, but I think enough of an understanding of human centered technology augmented strategies will really serve us well in the coming few years.
Yeah, and I think part of that is, Dustin, and I'm sure I'm sure you would agree. Part of that is, I think, we get very excited about technology, and rightly so. And there's lots of things, and we're all benefiting massively from this. Um, but we're also very bad at identifying and catching people doing the right thing themselves, right? So celebrating people, like saying, like, oh, this is what Dustin brought to the table, as opposed to like, oh, here's what we got AI did or whatever. But we're really bad though at catching, and I think this is a time when we have to catch more people doing the right thing.
Mm. Yeah, you're exactly right. In the spirit of automation, like you
Yeah.
think of like here a simple use case, a lot of us in the tech sector are on LinkedIn on a daily basis.
Hmm.
There's a lot of communication types, like a congrats on an anniversary. That's automated into the platform, right? So
Yeah.
whenever I hit a year at whatever company, I'll get a myriad of messages and communications,
Yeah.
oftentimes from people I don't really remember.
Yeah. Or even no.
Right, right. And then, but as you go through them, what's the actual, you know, benefit to me when all the messages are in essence this exact same script?
Yeah.
It was just I was like, whatever.
Yeah.
Because
Exactly.
it skips the part that authors connection. The
Hmm.
connection is born out of John, I see you. I know you well enough to actually have a meaningful, specific, curated comment from me.
Hmm.
And what's cool about the human psychology and the human experiences is we know when it's genuine and we know when it's not. It's built into the antennae of how we came to Earth. It just is.
Yeah, because in your example there, Dustin, I mean, it is a great one, is to say, I care enough about you that I can press this automated button, but I
Right,
don't care enough about you to actually even probably even figure out who you are.
right. And really, yeah, we won't go too far down that, but it's like I cared enough about myself
Yeah,
to to be seen on your feed. Is
yeah,
really.
yeah, that is, yeah, that's way better. Yeah, yeah, that's exactly it.
And so yeah, you're exactly right. Is there's a lot going on, and there is a lot of um, unknowns, right? And that just drives the human psyche to be stressed down a little bit
Mhm.
because we are creatures of safety, right?
Yeah.
And so it's a I look at it as it is a wonderful privilege. It is an amazing chapter and phase as a senior leader
Hmm.
to be able to lean into of all the responsibilities that I carry
Yeah.
to ensure that the stewardship of the human experience of the people I lead is at an all-time high and maximized first so that they can be empowered, emboldened, and centered, not operating out of fear, not
Mhm.
operating out of ultimatums, but through
Mhm.
creativity and the manifestation of their best work. That is a privilege in my mind as a leader. And it's hard in a business world where cost of capital is at an all-time high. And
Yep.
every 5 minutes we hear about a new tech startup that's doing $1 billion of revenue with two people, and every other business is automatically a failure now. And it's like
Yep.
those constraints are real. And
Yeah.
yet we still get that choice to put the people first.
Yeah, and I think because a lot of this has been framed in AI and employees and going to wipe out jobs and everything. But to your point, I think there's a different kind of pressure that leaders are under, right? Because number one, they want to be on the leading edge, they want to be taking advantage of this, and but second off, they're also very nervous about AI because hey, once upon a time, if I'm when I was like leading a company, right? I could, pontificate about whatever I wanted, right? You're rarely going to get fact checked, are you, by the people in your organization, especially now you can get fact checked in real time, right? So I think there's a lot of pressure also on leaders where they're starting to feel a little bit uncomfortable about the fact that, now, Dustin has access to actually way more information than even I do, through AI, that's in my head. So I'm now struggling about what's my value?
Mm. Yeah, man, so many different ways we could take this. Where my mind goes, John, is there's an interesting arbitrage on the supply and demand of information.
Mm-hmm.
And so I'll try and deconstruct this in a way that makes sense. And so in my brain, where I go is it's like, okay, every employee has AI. From a basic level, whether that's chat, whether it's cloud, it doesn't really matter. I can just quickly query and get ideas and whatever. And so in my brain, what's happening is there's now this like informational surplus of satellite debris distraction. Like
Mm-hmm.
we can just
Yeah,
create
yeah.
more content, more ideas, more stuff, but that doesn't really get us to the end of the business value road, right? So if we
Mm-hmm.
really reduce it into simplicity, a business wins when they create real value to its consumer.
Yep. Absolutely.
And oftentimes, and I would argue the majority of the time, the business value is more often recognized when the human experience is optimized for the consumer. And so you get this direct correlation of like, do we need more ads? Do we need more social media posts? Do we need more content? Do we need more that the AI can generate with our eyes closed? No,
Mm-hmm.
probably not. And so the difficulty for me in leadership is that increased burden and stewardship of I now have to operate and lead and make critical decisions with more noise than we've ever had before.
Yes.
And when my people are bringing those creations and ideas at a rate that is just overwhelming, like, well, I had this idea / I was working in Claude for all last night. I stayed up till 2 a.m. and me and Claude solved it. Like, this is the thing that I want to do. And it's like, as a senior leader, it's like, yes, that's awesome. I want to embrace the learner's journey. I love the extension of where you're trying to go. But if that's now the experience times hundreds of employees wanting to self-author the new thing, it's really, really difficult.
Mm.
For me, so far, in a very, like, we're all new at this.
Yeah.
The guiding principles are we staying close to what matters most to our customer and their very real human experience consuming whatever our product or service is? And am I keeping my people who build, market, and support
Mm-hmm.
whatever that is as close to the pulse, word used intentionally, to the experience of the consumer?
Right.
And therein lies how we try and stay aligned and focused in a world of more, because more is
More
no.
is
Yeah, and AI has flipped the script where more used to be more like unto an asset, and now it's not as much.
Yeah, and it's a good point that that's a really great point that you raised there about, I mean, the thin line between, supporting and encouraging creativity and innovation and all that. Like, so somebody stays up till 3 o'clock in the morning and, builds out something with Claude and, vibe code it because
Right.
the MCP server, and suddenly it's fun. And it's as you said, it's fantastic. Now it's maybe not quite what we need. Maybe that's not where we needed our resources and attention to go. So there is a really difficult balancing act between staying leading edge, being innovative, and being chaotic.
That's right. You're spot on, and that's where, for us as leaders, the curating, the permission giving of the time and the place in the daily attention stack has to be present, right? If we're
Mhm.
not articulating, you should be spending an hour or 90 minutes to that end, like you should be exploring tools. You should be learning
Mhm.
how to do whatever your role is, plus doing it through what AI augmentation would give you.
Yeah.
If we don't articulate that that is welcome and invited and a safe thing to do, then we're missing the mark. But it serves both purposes. It's not just the invitation for the learner's journey, but it is also allowing us to articulate the healthy boundary of yes, but how much becomes the distraction layer, right? So when
Yeah.
I author, you guys really should be spending an hour a day doing this. It should also look like, and maybe that's from 4 to 5, right? Maybe when it's not mission critical hours, or
Yeah.
if I'm on a sales floor, it's not during power hours and those things that I wouldn't want to replace for my most intentional
Sure.
work. But
Yeah.
it is important enough we should be doing it. There's some ways that we can approach that and get the fruits of both.
Yeah, and I think that's also a really important part of the equation too, is the fact that is that a fact of being intentional and saying, okay, if I want my I have to give space to my people to do this. I want to give space to my people to do this. And I think, Dustin, at the end of the day, I think all of this is forcing a complete re-architecture of work
Mm,
and a re-architecture of how and now we have to look at how do people excel in this new reality. It's like, I mean, we're leaders, we love metrics and we love to say, we're metrics driven and performance driven. Now AI can give us like exponential amount of metrics, right?
yes.
And all of that. And so now we have to, as you said earlier, cut the noise and come back to say, what are the measurements that are really, really important? What are the ones that I should be focused on rather than all the ones I can be focused on? And what is that actually measuring in terms of both technology and human output?
Yeah. So, man, a couple of thoughts, and I'll try and anchor back to, I'm a big believer, and it doesn't matter what your job is, your role, or industry. As individuals, we have to kind of cut our own personal
Yeah.
decree into how far I'm going to go in that balance of the tech versus the
Hmm.
human, both responsibility and deliverables and all of that. Um, to your point, because the cost of production is so low now,
Hmm.
the distraction levels at an all-time high. Like, case in point, we're right in the middle, well, really the forefront of our conference season or event season. And we have a pretty significant budget to go and be places and be
Hmm.
with people. But we also were very intentional in swapping out some of our digital ad spend to be more in the human element, right? So this is
Right.
kind of gets back to the crux of, like, well, how do we do this and how do we make those decisions? And what we found in the first couple of shows that has driven success for us. Now, granted, it's naturally serving because we sell a cultural human
Yeah.
connection platform. But really, our call to action for our team that's boots on the ground at the event is, let's be awake to the notion of what all these attendees are actually going through as humans first.
Mm.
And then why they're participating as employees of some kind of business second. Let's start our conversations with, John, how are you? Welcome. Like, we were just in San Antonio. What brings you to San Antonio? Great. Let me take 5 minutes to find out how John is doing in his role, because we're all going through this hellstorm of newness. How you, John? I've met you 20 seconds ago. How are you doing?
Yeah.
How,
Yeah.
how does whatever your job do? Like, how long have you been doing it? How's all the change? Like, how are things for you in this massive transformation? My
Yeah.
goodness, right? And the rally cry for our team was, we know we have the data and we have the science, and yes, it's self-serving to our business model, that you can't get to cultural outcomes without going through the door of authentic human connection. If people are not seen, appreciated, validated genuinely, they don't graduate to phase two, which is, I
Yeah.
now choose to behave through the corporate values to do my best work. And I can't, and unless I'm showing up that way, then I don't really get the innovations and the traction and the throughput that gets the business ROI.
Mm.
So the challenge was, what if we just spend this conference checking in with people on how are they doing as a human in a massive technology revolution,
Mm.
and see if that validates any interest of, like, that Motivosity company was different. They weren't here just trying to sling their thing and sell to me. They just wanted to show us
Yeah.
what matters most, which is, I connected with John and he felt seen and heard and appreciated. And I hope of all the boosts that he participated, there's something different about the time he spent with me.
Yeah, no, I think that's a fantastic example, to be honest, because I mean, if you think about trade shows, you think a lot of, and especially now, as you said, with all the innovation, half the people there don't even know why they're there, don't
Yeah.
even know what they're looking at, aren't really sure, how this can help them. They're already confused. So, and as we know, walking around exhibit halls and stuff, can be like, kind of maneuvering through piranha sometimes, right?
Oh, right.
So taking that different approach, I mean, it's all about meeting people where they are, isn't it?
Yeah. Yeah. Well said.
Yeah. So what is your message to leaders today, right? Who are feeling this intense AI pressure on them. What's your message to them about how to look at it and how to also look at their people and how to kind of come up with a balanced approach?
Yeah. A couple of thoughts. The first is is a simple phrase that I brought to our executive team, which is, there's some really great books out there and articles about leading from the front, not just the
Hmm.
demanding from the throne on, behind, as it were. And the truth is, there's a little phrase that we coined for our senior executive team, which is no dinosaurs.
Hmm.
In an AI transformation, we were all antiquated in like 5 minutes, right? And
Yep.
so our first responsibility as senior leaders is no dinosaurs. If there was ever a time where sitting on 20 years of experience and I've climbed my way to the top of the corporate ladder and my safety check is here, if there was ever a time where that is being absolutely challenged, well, the day is here. And
Yeah.
so no dinosaurs means I don't care how much time you have left. I don't care if you're retiring at the end of the year or not. Your responsibility, the way we feel about our responsibility to lead today, next week, next quarter, very near term, is I have to be the beacon of also showing and demonstrating that I don't have all the answers.
Yeah.
And I care enough to be vulnerable enough to try and to be on the learner's journey and to make sure my team knows I'm on the learner's journey and to be equally at the sandbox and the demo lunches and all of those things. Not it's y'all's job
Yeah.
to not be dinosaurified.
Yeah.
All of us, right? That's the first point is no dinosaurs. We all have to transform. We all have to go through a massive awakening. What is Dustin and his role and his job going to look like on the other side? That's first. And then the second is whatever level of intentional awareness we had before, you have to quintuple it
Mm.
because the noise and the
Yeah.
fear and the doom and gloom is so loud. I have
Mhm.
to be louder as a leader to be brokering the psychological safety within the teams.
Yeah, absolutely. Perfect. Like very, 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 very well put. And I think that's it. I think for anybody who's out there, maybe nervous, maybe you're, quite senior in your career, whatever, is just get excited about it and bring the excitement. There's not, and I think, as you said, there's a great unifying thing is like if the CEO on the call is just as excited as one of the junior whatever about something they discovered how they could do on AI, it kind of it kind of reinforces that this is a shared experience and we're all navigating this together. Yeah, I may have 30 years behind me, but this is just as new to me as it is to you.
That's exactly right. And that's exactly right. And there's some interesting falsifications that we carry when we lie to ourselves, which
Mhm,
is, yeah, so I've been a senior leader in revenue teams for almost 20 years, right?
mhm.
I'm staring the ripe old age of 50 in the face in a couple of years. And it's like, yeah, it's been a
Ah,
very fruitful
youngster.
career, but none of that warrants any guarantees in today.
Yeah, yeah,
It just
it
doesn't.
it doesn't.
And it doesn't serve my team or my team members, which means it doesn't serve the business, which means it doesn't serve my customers,
Mhm.
to be ignorant to the point that there's an opportunity for me to improve.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think maybe certainly it may benefit that we grew up in corporate life at a time when, I certainly always believed I was only as good at what I did next. So I was never,
Right.
never believed in resting on laurels. And it wasn't because, it was because we just grew up with that thing is like, it doesn't matter what you've done. What are you doing for me now?
That's right. That's
Yeah.
exactly right.
All
Well,
right.
and to that point, the value economy has shifted from, to your point, early in our careers, or at least from my personal experience,
Mhm.
was effort was the input that would drive to the performance outcomes
Yeah.
desired. And today, effort is not the thing. The innovation married to
Yeah.
effort and curiosity. It's a different value engine altogether. And we have to either figure out what the force multipliers are, or we will assuredly become dinosaurs.
Yeah, exactly. All right, so let's avoid being exhibits in Jurassic Park.
Yeah.
Okay, so listen, thanks again, Dustin. All of Dustin's information will be below this video. But before we go, please do remind everybody about Motivosity.
Yeah, Motivosity is the premier reward and recognition provider in a very busy and complicated HR tech world. You know, if there was one thing that I could leave with the world, John, before I drop, is in a world or in a market that is full of top-down reward first tools.
Mm,
Motivosity was truly built, purpose built for human connection. And we're now seeing those gains and that impact in stride as the AI revolution is impacting a lot of those similar engagement and satisfaction metrics within a business. So we feel privileged to be who we are at this time. It is absolutely an exciting time to be who we are doing what we do.
fantastic. Well, listen, thanks again, Dustin. Thank you for watching and listening. See you all again very soon. Thank you.